Yo, sorry about that. I was getting some things set up for you guys. Just wanted to make certain everything was set up. My God, my hair looks like dish. Anyhow, it's great to see you guys. Oh, let me go mute that. Alright, sorry about that, everyone. So today we're going to be working on a smaller diorama that I wanted to do. I've got a 3D printer. Hey Morgana, thank you for being here. It's good to see you, Sugar. Glad you're here. So today we're going to be working on a little bit of a smaller diorama. It's just going to be a little pond. I've already got the base built. It's just terrain pasted. We're going to be dry brushing it with some dry pigments and things today, and then getting it slowly built around this itty bitty little micro pot that I 3D printed. I don't know if you guys can really see it all that well because it's tiny. But that's going to be the figure that we will put on the base. Anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and get this set up and turned so you guys can see what I'm doing. And that way, you guys know what's going on. So, let's get this set up. Yeah, it is. It's extremely tiny. We're going to turn that and flip the camera. Preferably, thank you. Okay. There we go. Look at that. All right. So, let's get one of our mats. So as you can see, we've got one of our mats here. Let me get this into camera view here. Jesus. It's a good thing what I am, because I can see what I'm doing, sort of. All right, so we've got our base. Let me see if I can get the lighting angle better so you guys can see better what I'm doing. I doubt I can, but we're gonna try. Get some overhead lighting on. Oh, look at that. Now you can actually see the whole project. Yes. Okay, so as you can see, we've got this little base here. It's pretty much just made from, I used some Sculptamold and some pigmenting, some dry pigments to get it this base coloring, threw some sand over the top. It's completely dry, set on a wooden base. So the next thing we want to do is we want to start doing some dry brushing. So we're going to start with the nice dark color. So let's use this nice Van Dyke brown. We're going to grab our heavy bristle brush and our application brush. We're just going to use this to get it down into everything. And then we will use the stiff bristle brush, the thick bristle brush, to slowly get it blended into everything around it. You can see it now makes it look a bit like dirt. You know, nice little dirt pond hole. And the reason that I'm using the dry brush and dry pigments with this is because once I start using the stiffer bristle brush, it'll give this a nice refined, polished look. You'll see what I mean. Get this all spread out. Now that we've got that spread out, we can go back over it with a stiff bristle brush to blend it in. Damn it all. Okay, I think we're back. I had to switch over to Wi-Fi. It was giving me shit. We've got this now. Oh my lord. Alright, so we're just going to get down inside the pond here. So we are back. Yeah, I had to switch over to Wi-Fi. I apologize, everyone. But as you can see, it gives if you use the brush, you'll see it gives it this nice kind of polished, refined look in all the edging areas, while all the deep valleys maintain their texturing and look rather textured, which is what you want. And so you just want to go over all of this with a stiff bristle brush and get that first nice layer on. Like so. And we're going to change up our colors to a slightly lighter color. So let's use some of this nice burnt umber. Want to make certain that we get all the old color from the first brush out of it so you don't accidentally spread a lot of that around. Then we will use the stiff bristle brush to start spreading the secondary color. Just want to get a little bit of it out into the edges out here. You just want to make certain that you get each and every color set in there that you want. It also doesn't hurt to take any of the dry pigment powders that have ended up onto your mat or your table or whatever and pick them up because they'll be slightly mixed. So you can always do a medium colored layer that just comes in and blends the rest together, making the whole thing look quite a bit nicer. All right. Perfect. Look at that. Nice and dirt pile-ish looking. Let's go ahead and get our final layer. We're going to light brush over everything. Instead of doing a heavy brush, we just want a little bit of this. They're going over just the very edges. And this will give us a nice stone-based looking base that we can then really make look nice. Unfortunately, I got a little bit too much there, but you can just blend it out. And we will use that as a light highlight, which will allow this area to look a bit more lit up, because that'll be the foreground of the picture and imagery. And as you can see, it just slowly blends across and blends in, making the highlighted areas stand out a bit, which is what we want. Pick up some of this intermixed stuff like this to help mute out some of that white, which is a little much, but not too much. that will be our base ready for some landscaping. Now we can move on to the landscaping part of it, which should be really fun. Alright, so now that we are done with our dry pigments, we will need some watered down glue types, some isopropyl alcohol to break the surface tension. We got some sand and stones here that we can lay out. So let's go ahead and take some of our water mixture. We just want to kind of go around it a little bit. Want to hit it with a little bit of the isopropyl alcohol to help break the surface tension. This will also help to bring out the colors that we have blended. Which will help to look really, really nice. We're going to just kind of spread this out just a little bit. Alright, and then we add some sand. Now we're not going to add sand to the inside of the pond too much. You'll notice I did not add a lot of watered down glue to the inside. And it's because we don't want too much of that on the inside. We're going to put a little greenery in there, but we don't need too much sand down in there. I like the way that looks already. So we've got that. And now we need our Scenic Glue Static Tack and our Static Grass Applicator, which we need to get some green static grass for. So, give me one moment, y'all, while I dig through my supplies. Now, we should probably go over that with a couple of brown washes on the inside with some blue and green washes. So, before we get too much further, let's go ahead and get our washes set. Rinse out the brush. Sand our hands. Alright. Always got to make certain that you wash everything off and clean up a bit. We've got all these extra powder just laying around, so we're going to want to get that moved. Or dumped off in this case, so I'm going to dump that into the garbage real fast. Alright. Now, we are ready for our washes. So for the inside of the pond, we're going to start with a small bit of a green wash. And you don't want to use a whole lot of this, or you will end up just coloring it all in one shade of wash. So you'll note that I don't do that. I use very, very light washes with a small paintbrush. You just kind of want to get the wash run around on the inside a little bit. Because we want this to look like, you know, there might be a little bit of life kind of in it. Yeah. Like I said, you don't want to use a whole heck of a lot. Then we'll go over it with also a blue wash. Always make certain you shake your washes, because the pigment settles at the bottom. So now we'll do a little bit of a blue wash. You'll note I haven't rinsed out the green from inside of the brush. We want to just kind of get the blue wash mixed in up here and blend it a bit with the green wash, since this is where our pond is going to be. As you'll notice, I'm only gently doing it and blending it a little bit at the edges where they meet, then bringing it up to where the water's edge is going to be. Alright, just like that. So now we have our pond taken care of. We can switch brushes. Let me grab some water so we can rinse our brushes. And then we can switch brushes for our larger area. So for the larger area, I have this nice fat tip brush. We are going to want to take some umber shade, which is a dark kind of reddish brown. And we'll want to take our sepia shade, because these are going to go into 2 layers. We're going to start with sepia and then go into the umber wash. So let's start first with sepia shade, which we're going to want to put just gently over everything. And I should have done this before I applied the sand, but I didn't because I'm a dummy. But life is what it is, I suppose. Let's see, that's the umber. We need this one. Now, I would recommend, if you buy washes and paints and things, make certain you buy a large quantity, because otherwise, you know, a big project can run you clean out of washes rather easily. So, I've had that happen a couple of times with my projects so far, where it just, you know, you're almost there and you miss it by that much. Alright, so now we're going to work in our umber wash. It's just kind of a light wash over everything. To just help blend the colors a bit more. Yeah, look at that. That's beautiful. Look at how good that looks, guys. Look at that. There we go. Looks beautiful. Let's go ahead and rinse this brush out, because we are done with our washes. And that will need to dry. So, while that dries, we are going to go ahead and prime this. Now, the reason I'm going to be priming this is because you can see here it's kind of got off coloration. Also, I'm going to want this to be more uniform, because this is going to be a swimming hole scene. I barely have this covered properly, but it is what it is. And so what we're going to do right now is give this a primer job. You'll also note, guys, it's very rare that I actually throw primer over something after I've got the terrain paste on it. But in this case, the colors are not uniform, and so we just want to make them more uniform. And by doing this, we get a nice starting layer color to work with, instead of having to work around, you know, what we already have. Let's move you so we don't splatter you. And we're just going to go ahead and get the primer applied, so that we can have this whole thing look really nice when we're done. Now again, for the terrain paste here, this one is actually a plaster and Sculpt-A-Mold mix, so it's a little bit stiffer than the other one there, but not by much. Not by much. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I'm sorry I'm not paying too much attention to chat. Once we get this primed a little bit more, I will come over and take a peek at what y'all are saying, and I will give you my responses. If you have any project ideas that you'd like to see, please, by all means, let me know. I would love to see what kind of ideas you guys have. Oh boy, I gotta see what was just said. I barely caught the end of that. Welcome to the channel, Eclectic. I'm glad you're here. Actually, I do plan on doing some D&D style terrains and things. I will be doing some game map builds for you guys here come July, and which is almost here, guys. So, but yeah, that's actually a fun idea. I actually enjoy making these a lot. I used to do a lot of D&D, so I would set up all the maps and things. And so this has always just kind of been fun. Dioramas, though, are my real relax kind of thing. So, yeah, we just want to get this nice and primed. One of the few times that I ever have to prime something, and it's due to color differences in terrain paste. I ran out of terrain paste basically about halfway through and had to make some fresh. And so there you go. Yeah, welcome to the stream. I'm glad you're here. I'll definitely have to get more primer because I don't think I quite have enough on my map. Luckily, I have plenty of primer. I'm so glad you all are here. You guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope you guys are having a great weekend. I know I am. I always have a great weekend, though. We had a family here yesterday that had a birthday party, so they were being loud until midnight, but you know, person's birthday, gotta let them celebrate a little bit, I guess. I mean, I don't celebrate my birthday, but I'm a dork. What do you expect? Oh. But no, you guys are absolutely amazing, and I love your faces. I want you guys to know that. I love your faces so much. You guys are great. Best audience on YouTube. Best group of people I have ever heard of. Alright, so we've almost got the primer applied to this, and by the time we're done with this, that should be the other little project should be ready for its static grass and other fun things. Alright, we just want to make certain we get all the sides. Because, you know, we want to make certain that we get the primer coverage everywhere. And this little shack here is actually going to be the swimming holes, bathrooms, slash, you know, lockers area, where you can kind of store your stuff and keep males and females a bit separated when it comes down to getting ready to go swimming and all of that. No need to have an incident in the pool area, so to speak. I do have a little dude who's standing there looking rather proud of himself. This is all going to be at 1 to 87 scale. And I have a little dude in blue trunks that's looking rather proud of himself that's going to be on this diving board, which is at a rather precarious angle. You know, personally, there's a reason a lot of other tourists that come and visit this place don't use it. Now, legend has it that this swimming hole had a monster in it at one point. Now that was proven to be false. They never found anything other than a really neat place to build a swimming hole. And so they did. And that is the legend of this area. Or at least this little diorama. Wow. Big enough to need a lot of primer. And again, I'm knocking things over. Alright. I do not have a lot of workspace, folks. And I will check chat again here in just a moment once we get this primed all the way up. And then I will respond to you guys from there. But yeah, I do plan on doing some game board layouts and things. That is correct. You sure did. You have been around my channel a while now. That is a fact, Morgana. Also, big shout out to Boileye Hobby Time for helping to keep all of us creators inspired to do this kind of work. You know, I love his channel. I really recommend you guys go check his channel out. He does some amazing diorama work. The kind of diorama work I aspire to be able to do, and sometimes, you know, being our own worst critic, I don't think I ever get there. But that's beside the point. I'm also kind of having to keep an eye out that my dog isn't being a butt, because he has lately been trying to steal the kitty's cat food. And that's not okay. We're just going to get this primer laid out all over everything. So that we can paint this later. Because we're going to want to paint this shack a nice swimming hole red. You want to make it a color that everybody can work with and deal with and see very clearly in an area full of greenery like trees and whatnot. So even the shack's got to be primed. You can see I detailed a bit around the door. And luckily, since I'm not using a spray primer, it doesn't matter that the inside of the house is still just straight foam. Because I'm not using that kind of a primer, it's not going to melt the foam. Some spray primers, however, will. So you have to have like a Mod Podge covering on that or some kind of a waterproofing and weathering proofing on it. Because otherwise, you will end up with a hot mess of melted internals. So I choose to use a liquid-based primer that is an acrylic primer, so that it allows me to lay out the acrylic paints and washes that I like and not really have to worry too much about like building structures and foam and things like that. But if you do decide to use a spray primer, I definitely recommend covering all of your foam before you place any structures, unless the structure itself covers the foam directly. And I mean like completely covers it, like a solid base. In this case, it's a hollow building because I plan on putting a light inside of it. Which I always like the way it looks when you've got a building that can light up, so it's got a day and night cycle. I know you guys probably do too. I just want to make certain, and you can see some of the wood that I've used. This is basswood. It's a basswood piece that I'm using here. I have both basswood and balsa wood. This one just happens to be made out of basswood. As I have different purposes for each type of wood that I use in my builds. You just want to make certain you get all the proper coverage on it. Just like so. You always want to make certain you get at least some kind of coverage all over each area. Even if it looks thin in a spot, you're just going to be painting over it anyways, so it doesn't really matter. as long as you get enough on there to make certain that you get full coverage. Yeah, just like that. Alright, a little bit more onto this side here because it looks a little thin to me. Yeah, look at that. Just like that. Beautiful. Now, if you guys haven't already checked out my SR-71 Blackbird build where I put a light into the cockpit, so it's got a light up cockpit, I really recommend you guys go check that out next. But wait till after the stream, don't go now. Everybody just leaves. Oh, man. Alright, so now that has to dry. We can switch back over to our little pond, which is just dry enough to start the training. So, we gotta get some things going. Luckily, I have plenty of things to work with. My box of amazing stuff is back here, so. Glue gun glue sticks. I don't need those at the moment. We need some dark green flocking, or in this case, dark green static grass. I need to take the static grass I've got in there out, as I've got yellow static grass in there for a different diorama that I am working on, which I will show you guys at the end of the stream, along with some of the stuff I've completed as of late. Hold on a second. Get the yellow static grass back in there. We'll get some dark green in there, and then we'll go back over it with a little bit of light green. I think that would look good, give it a bit of some depth. I also have some olive green we can throw in there. But for starters, we just want to get some standard green on there. There we go. Keep that out so that we have that ready to put this back. We will want to switch over to a piece of paper so that we can recover any lost static grass. So I'm going to move this out of the way for the moment. Quick wipe down. That table's going to look gross till I wipe it down with a proper sponge. Why I turned into John Wayne there, I don't know. But I guess we're gonna deal with it, Telegram. Oh, God, no! None of that. So, we got this nice piece of paper. Yes, I know. It's a pizza place menu. It is, I know, geez. So, static grass applicator. This is static tack. That's what you would use for applying static grass to things. So we're just going to get a nice ring of it around here. We don't want to put it in all of the areas because we just want some sparse grassing around our dirt. Go ahead and get the cap pack on this. We need a brush, and I have a brush that I have that's specific to spreading tack. As you can see, it's what happened is this is actually a ruined brush, so that's a thing. There it is. We'll need a little isopropyl alcohol to break the surface tension of the static tack as we spread it around. This will also give some conductivity to our static grass applicator allowing it to better work with the static grass. We just want to spread this out just a little bit. We don't want all of it connecting together. We can make maybe this spot connect a bit, which is fine. But we want to make certain that we've got enough static tack in each area we're looking to put grass for the applicator to have terrain and area to. It uses a static charge from a battery through the negative end here that you set against the static tack. And that allows the static charge, which will allow it to stand on end. All right. Okay, so now that we've got that covered and we've already got that spread out, we can take our static tack applicator and turn it on. And then you just take the tip of the static tack, this piece, placing it against the one area here. And as you can see, it makes the grass stand up nicely. Just make certain we get that out of the way. We then want to pick this up. Take any of the static grass that isn't sticking and get it shaken loose. And there we go. Got a nice little grass patch on the inside there, which I really like. It's got a nice coverage for most of the area. Very nice. Look at that. You can see there on the edge, when I turn it sideways, you can see the grass stands up, which is what we want. That is the application of that static grass color. Let's go ahead and get this back into this. Alright. Sorry about bumping that. Now let me get what's in the applicator out, because we're going to want to go for some light green flocking, or in this case some light green static grass as our next batch of grasses. And I will come check chat in just a second. Alright. Now we want to go for some light green. So let's grab a bag of that. Set that aside. Get this back over here. Let's go ahead and turn that on. And here we go. Now we're just going to put a little bit of the light green down. We don't want to do too much, just enough to blend it up a bit. And again, like we did with the last one, you want to shake off anything that didn't stick. So we've got this nice kind of light green and dark green look. And that is starting to look really good. Don't fold over, dingus. Alright, grab the bag so we can get that back in to its bag. And you always want to make certain that you have some way to save your static grass. It's expensive, so please make sure you find a way to save it. Okay, static grass actually does cost quite a bit. Let's see. So, static grass is hard to explain in it's a few different things depending on the company you get it from. In most cases, it's just, simple fibrous material. It doesn't really look like much. You can see there, it's just individual pieces. In some cases, it's fiberglass. Be careful when it comes to companies that use fiberglass. And back in the day, originally, and I mean a long time ago, it was actually made with asbestos. So, and as we all know, asbestos fibers are extremely bad for you. But what makes static grass what it is it develops a static charge rather easily. And so by charging it with a little bit of static electricity from the device, it causes it to want to stick like this and kind of look like grass. And that's why we use it in dioramas. So it looks like I'm actually going to have to end this right now. My phone battery somehow is now at 4%. So unfortunately, guys, I'm actually going to have to end the stream earlier than I wanted to. But we have been live for 40 minutes. So I will leave it at that today. And we will see you in the next amazing stream or video. And as always, guys, I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for joining me today. You guys have been absolutely amazing. And as always, we will see you in the next amazing streamer video. I love your faces. Stay amazing.